Good afternoon, everyone. Today is Friday, July 24th, 2020, and this is your tropical update. So we got three systems we're monitoring. We have what was Tropical Depression 8 has strengthened into Tropical Storm Hannah, headed for a landfall in Texas. We got Tropical Storm Gonzalo, which is headed towards the Windward Islands, and we have another wave way behind Gonzalo near the Cape Verde Islands. And in the Pacific, we have Hurricane Douglas, which has officially crossed into the Central Pacific Hurricane Center territory, still as a major hurricane. So let's break it all down. So here's the latest advisories. We'll start with Gonzalo. Gonzalo, honestly, it's kind of a pile of garbage. It has been struggling over the past 24 hours or more now, actually. I would say probably over 24 hours. It's really struggled. And so as of 2 o'clock Eastern, 1 o'clock Central, maximum sustained winds have decreased down to 45 miles an hour. It peaked at 65, and now it is down to 45. Central pressure is up to 1,008 millibars. It is not doing so good. It says right now, Hurricane Hunter plane is investigating Gonzalo. It's expected to bring tropical storm conditions to the southern Windward Islands on Saturday, which is tomorrow. This is the projected path. You can see Barbados, other portions of the Windward Islands under a tropical storm warning and a tropical storm watch. There was a hurricane watch in effect for Barbados earlier. It has now been discontinued. It is no longer expected to be a hurricane. According to this, it still looks like Gonzalo could strengthen, though, over the next 36 to 48 hours. It could re-strengthen possibly to near hurricane strength, but it's really been struggling lately. And if it doesn't get its act together soon, I would say it does not have much of a chance. Does not have much of a chance to really do a whole lot. So let's take a look at Gonzalo. What does it look like on the IR imagery? Let that load for a second there. Oh, okay, so as that's happening, let's look at the latest advisory from Tropical Storm Hannah. Advisory number 7A, maximum sustained winds are near 50 miles an hour, so it's actually strengthening. Central pressure down to 999 millibars, moving west-northwest at 9 miles per hour. It is marching towards the Corpus Christi area, and it will make landfall tomorrow. This is the projected path. You can see it'll be somewhere around Corpus Christi. It keeps going more and more to the south and west, so it's kind of, the track is pulling more and more towards Brownsville, but it's still looking like it'll make landfall somewhere north of there, so maybe around Corpus Christi or maybe a bit south of there. And the latest intensity forecast suggests that it will make landfall right around 65 miles an hour, so that's fairly strong tropical storm strength. I would not be 100% shocked here if this thing decides to become a hurricane prior to landfall. We'll be closely monitoring that. But here's Gonzalo. You can just see it's just a blob of convection. You can see there's a really big blossom of convection earlier today. I mean, it really took off, but it's already just kind of fading away, it seems, and it doesn't seem to be much organization at all. I mean, it's just so poorly organized. So it's really, if it doesn't get its act together pretty soon, I mean, it's probably going to degenerate into an open wave here pretty soon. Within 24 hours or so, I would say it could degenerate. But like I said, the latest NHC intensity guidance still suggests that Gonzalo could potentially get close to hurricane strength before it goes over the Windward Islands. So here's the latest intensity guidance. You can see they're still just not agreeing, and that's kind of been the thing over the past several days, really. You can see a lot of them are trying to hang on to it and eventually re-strengthen it, But you can see some models are they're just dropping it off, dissipating the storm. So like I said, there's a lot up in the air about it. Let's see what else we got. Hurricane. Oh, no. Let's look at Hannah, since that's our immediate threat. See, Hannah is really big. It's a huge tropical cyclone. A lot of robust convection. It's not the most organized. I've definitely seen better organized systems than this is, but it is huge. I mean, just check that out. I know the image isn't fully loaded yet, but I mean, the convection is really deep. I mean, it's not crazy well organized, at least at this moment, but there's a lot of convection. So honestly, systems like this, especially when the waters are nice and warm, they can really take off. So we're gonna have to very closely monitor Hannah as it approaches the kind of the Corpus Christi area, somewhere between Brownsville, Corpus Christi. Looks like that'll be the landfall tomorrow. Tropical storm warnings are in effect all the way down to Brownsville, Texas. So yeah, I think like I said, they're projecting it to be about 65 miles per hour at landfall. Could possibly get a little higher. Would not be like I said, I would not be surprised if it decides to get to a minimal Category 1 hurricane strength before making landfall. That's not explicitly forecast at this time. It could, very well make landfall as a strong tropical storm, but either way, it is headed for Texas. There will be plenty of rain for that area. Let's actually look at the projected rainfall amounts. You can see lots of rain forecast. This is the orange area is 6 inches. Again, it's shifting further and further away from Houston, the Houston-Galveston areas. Houston-Galveston area is still expected to get an inch or so of rain, but down towards, like I said, Corpus Christi, Brownsville, that area at least 6 inches, possibly more. I'd say 6 to 10 inches even. So lots of rain on the way, and like I said, with the amount of convection that we're seeing here, I'm definitely not surprised to see the high rainfall amounts currently forecast in that area. And then our last system of concern at the moment is Hurricane Douglas, which peaked at Category 4 strength yesterday. We're going to let that load, but let's look at the latest. So advisories are now being issued by the Central Pacific Hurricane Center. It peaked at Category 4 strength yesterday, winds of 130 miles an hour. It's down to 120 now, so it's starting that slow weakening trend that has been forecast to occur. It's still over very warm waters, but the shear is gradually increasing with Douglas, so it is expected to continue to weaken as it approaches the Hawaiian Islands. This is the latest projected path. It's been shifting further north, but it looks like it could very well pass right over the Hawaiian Islands and really affect almost pretty much the entire Hawaiian Island chain, which is actually pretty unusual. And what's even more unusual is that it looks like it could be at hurricane strength, potentially. Hurricanes tend to not survive very well as they approach Hawaii, but we'll just have to see. It looks like there is a possibility that this thing could be a hurricane moving over the Hawaiian Islands. It would at least be probably a strong tropical storm. But regardless, expect tropical storm and probably hurricane watches to be issued for the Hawaiian Islands by tonight. And this is the latest intensity guidance. So yeah, by the time it's over Hawaii in about 60 hours, there it is, 75 miles an hour approaching the Hawaiian Islands. So that would be at a low end Category 1 hurricane, and then it would continue to weaken beyond that. But Douglas looks like it's going to be alive for the next several days at least. Here's the latest look of Douglas. Actually, interestingly, you see the eye was kind of clouded up earlier, but it looks like the eye is trying to clear out again. The convection is definitely lopsided. It's not, it doesn't have an annular appearance to it, but it's still spiraling pretty good. There's a recent burst of convection on its south side trying to wrap around. So I don't know. Maybe that'll like halt the weakening for a little bit, maybe even re-strengthen just a bit. Hard to say for sure, but the eye has definitely tried to clear out a little bit, become a little bit more well-defined compared to where it was earlier. So that's definitely an interesting development. probably because of that burst of convection that you see right there. But yeah, you can definitely tell some shear is impacting the storm. You can see because a lot of the convection is displaced north of the eye, so it has a more of a ragged look to it, at least at the moment. But yeah, we'll have to see what happens with Douglas. Currently forecast to steadily weaken as it approaches Hawaii, but it's not expected to completely dissipate for probably the next 5 to 7 days. That is your tropical update. Thank you guys for tuning in.